start. We're going to start this press conference now. My name is Sharon Black. I am an organizer with the People's Power Assembly, and I will be chairing and reading our opening statement. Following this, we'll have three brief speakers. Rasika Ruwanpathirana, who is an immigrant worker and a People's Power Assembly filmmaker. Reverend Annie Chambers, People's Power Assembly organizer and housing and welfare rights leader. Andre Powell will be our last presenter, and he is a retired former AFSCME union representative. Immediately after all the presentations, we'll have quick questions. So I'm going to read our statement so that we can be very brief. We are cautiously announcing some good news that the majority of our Facebook pages were restored last night after we sent out thousands of emails, both nationally and locally, and after we alerted the news media, mobilized our networks, and began seeking legal counsel. But within an hour, some of the same Facebook pages and groups who supported the post-election November 4th march and car caravan received warning messages, including the People's Power Assembly, that they would be taken down again after signing on to a November conference to end the blockade of Cuba. Facebook deleted that event for that conference. We do have a press release from the organizers of the conference, and we'll distribute it to the press. But for the background, on the evening of 10/28/20, 15 organizers who were affiliated with the Baltimore March and Car Caravan for November 4th had their Facebook pages disabled. All were administrators or editors on various Facebook pages that endorsed the action, including the People's Power Assembly, Youth Against War and Racism, Prisoner Solidarity Committee, Women in Struggle, and Struggle La Lucha. This action effectively locked down all these pages, denying thousands of members their constitutional rights. The People's Power Assembly page, which has close to 11,000 followers, was shut down, along with several other pages affiliated with the event. No reason was given by Facebook. Prior to this lockout, the People's Power Assembly main phone was barraged with harassing calls from Trump supporters and calls from the Department of Homeland Security connected to the Baltimore federal courthouse. A conversation with myself was illegally taped. Towards the end of the conversation, the officer's phone announced, quote, "You have reached the limits on your recording." We take these attacks very seriously. They are a blatant attempt to shut down organizing for the November 4th March and Car Caravan, which will be held right at this very spot, in opposition to the possibility of Trump announcing he is the winner before all the votes are counted, or through other deeply undemocratic manipulations. It is also an attempt to silence a people's mandate, which calls for jobs or income now, stimulus for workers, not billionaires, end racism and police terror, community control police now, health care for all, no evictions, foreclosures, or utility shutoffs, safe work conditions and hazard pay, and no wars or sanctions. Feed the people, not the Pentagon. This is a people's mandate that regardless of what the outcome takes place in terms of the elections, we will be pushing and basically fighting to win. The People's Power in Baltimore, Assembly in Baltimore, has led protests of thousands of people since spring, demanding justice against racism and police terror. There can be no mistake that these actions are an effort to silence that movement. But we are united and strong, and we will not be defeated or deterred. We are looking forward to a vibrant and exciting march and car caravan on November 4th. Our march will be just one in probably thousands and thousands of actions across the country called by many different groups. We will be part of the national actions called by the National Alliance Against Racism and Political Repression. And locally, we have also endorsed the Count Every Vote actions. And there will also be, along with a car caravan and a march to McKeldin Square. We will be leaving here at 3 p.m. We will then go to McKeldin Square to meet up with people at 5 p.m. and potentially to the federal courthouse. That will be on November 4th. There will also be groups that are gathering on Northern Parkway later in the day. So 3 p.m. we'll be here to start the march and caravan, and again we'll be meeting downtown in McKeldin Square.
Where's this?
At 20th and North Charles, right here at the spot where we're holding this press conference, 20th and North Charles. So we have, again, 3 very brief speakers before we answer any questions, and I'd like to call up Rasika, an immigrant worker and PPA filmmaker, to take the mic, and we'll keep this going and we'll move quickly. It's turned cold outside here. So Rasika?
Hi, my name is Rasika Ruwanpathirana. I'm a filmmaker and activist. I'm a Sri Lankan immigrant who moved to the US 20 years ago. My immediate family still lives in Sri Lanka, and I use Facebook to keep in touch with them as well as friends in the back home. Over the years, I have had quite a big network in my page. 4,000 plus people, multicultural, global, friends of family, colleagues, co-workers, and activists. I don't have a separate page for activism and one for the family. I don't see any reason for it. I don't do anything wrong. And I have nothing to hide. Wednesday night, when my personal page was shut along with our organizing page and 15 other personal accounts without a warning, without an explanation, I was devastated. I wasn't even allowed to repeal my decision. None of us could. These actions by Department of Homeland Security and Facebook, we still don't know who did what and why exactly it was done, because we haven't done anything wrong. And only direct violation of my right to practice freedom of speech. It's by definition separation of family, especially during one of the worst pandemics of our time. Facebook is the only connection for most of us during this time. They did it because they could, and they had the power to do so. So they could intimidate us and keep us from mobilizing people in order to make a way to steal an election. Is there any other explanation? I don't have one. Facebook is also where I find work, a network I built for 2 decades. It vanished to thin air Wednesday night. I didn't know how many of you have friends and family who died and still have their Facebook up. Those are very important parts of our lives now. Place to remember them, that we can virtually visit and be part of the healing process, especially when you live halfway across the world. If I had to restart a new page because of what happened Wednesday, I couldn't add those members back to my new page. Network like Facebook shouldn't be controlled by one person who happened to get lucky by capitalizing on new technology that was inevitable. It should belong to the people in the first place. Mr. Zuckerberg didn't invent social media. There was MySpace, Recall, and several others around that time. Networks are now extension of our lives, where we need to access them regularly with like-minded people. To take that away, to hold that hostage, to control us, suppress our freedom of speech, our right to organize and peacefully protest, is a violation of our constitutional rights. There should be a real solution for that. I'm saying this because leaving Facebook is not an option for us anymore. We want Mark Zuckerberg to leave the Facebook. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Reverend Annie Chambers.
And I'm here because this shows you when people holler about democracy. Shows you what can happen to us. Is this democracy? That one person can control the lives of many. The only reason I can see for Mark Zuckerberg, whatever his name is, I got some other names I can call him. But anyway, for him to do what he did was because people were coming together. People were speaking out. It's a way, Facebook is a way of us meeting and connecting with everyone all over the world. So people were speaking out against the atrocities here in America, the things that's happened. It ain't because he was worried about what somebody said. He is a rich, carpet-bagging person. I have to say good words, y'all. I'm a minister. He doesn't care. He don't care one bit about it. And he certainly don't care about black folks. And when we decided and got support to stand up and say Black Lives Matter, that we are human beings, that we are people, are we not allowed to say that? Is that why he took down a Facebook? Because we were standing up for our rights along with other people that stood with us, that supported us. He should not have control of Facebook. He invented it or whatever, but it's used by people all over the world. So no one person should have that control. No one person. And it's certainly a racist and bigoted like he is should not have that control. And we are here to say that we will stand up and fight. We will fight him. We will fight the clans, what they call themselves, the good old dogs. Call themselves the good old boys. I call them the proud dogs. That's what I call them. Okay? We're not afraid anymore. Those days are gone. Those days are gone. So we want it to be known. You may take down everything, including your mama's name. But you better understand something, that we're going to fight you. We fought with nothing before, and now that we do have something, we will continue to fight you. We will not allow this to happen. It's a shame that, I'm the president of many organizations that has been out here fighting for years. There's many organizations, and nobody have ever had this to happen before until he come along. He just want to prove himself maybe to some Republicans or whoever, because I don't care. I ain't a Democrat or a Republican, so I don't give a damn about either one. But we have got to be able, we as a people, and I'm talking about not a race now, I'm talking about human beings. We as a people got to stand up and say, never again will we allow this to happen. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend. Thank you very much. Our last presenter is Andre Powell, who is a former AFSCME organizer.
Good afternoon. My name is Andre Powell. I'm a retired trade unionist. The trade union movement has a motto that says, an injury to one is an injury to all. I stand here today to denounce the attempts of Facebook to shut down the legitimate voices of the people in this country, the people that have a right to come out on November the 4th, the day after the elections, to express a people's mandate for how this country should be run. We've had enough of the Trump years. He has already set it up to say that he's going to challenge the election whatever way it happens. This attack by Facebook of taking down the People's Power Assembly page and other supportive pages is an attack on the First Amendment rights of the right to assemble guaranteed by the Constitution. The people of Baltimore and others around the country have every right to come out the day after the election. So we asking everyone to make sure you come out to set this country straight. It will take a people's movement to set this country straight. We can't depend on just the politicians. The people are the moving force in this country.
Yes.
We advise people to already, if you have leave at work, set it up. Take the day off. You don't have leave, maybe you're not feeling well that day. Maybe you need to call in sick. Teachers have a right to teach in a safe environment. We encourage teachers to come out. We encourage students to come out. We encourage all to come out and make their voice known, because an injury to one is an injury to all, and united together we stand, divided we fall. Thank you.
Thank you, Andre Powell. We'll open to questions, but I'm going to end with this. Just to make sure people know that are listening to this broadcast, that we will be meeting here at this location, which is 20th Street and North Avenue. Well, it's close to North Avenue.
Charles.
20th and North Charles. It's called after today. 20th and North Charles, November the 4th, 3 p.m. And then we'll be taking cars. We'll be car caravanning and then basically marching to McKeldin Square. And at 5 p.m., people will also be joining and converging at McKeldin Square. So 3 p.m., join us on November 4th. If the election is stolen, we want to call for people to be in the streets to oppose Trump. If there's any kind of effort to hijack the elections, to declare victory before all the votes are counted. And also, as people have said, we have a people's mandate. It doesn't matter who happens to be in the White House. The people still need an end to the racism, the terror, the violence of the police. We still need stimulus for workers and not for billionaires. We still need no evictions, no foreclosures, no utility shutoffs, etc., etc. There are many people's needs, and we have listed them very carefully in a people's mandate, that going forward we will be fighting to win that people's mandate. So once again, join us on November 4th. It's going to be a wonderful, exciting, strong, spirited march, and it will be successful. And we're looking forward to the days that come. Thank you, and I guess if there's any questions from the media or anybody else.
What if Biden wins? Is the march canceled then?
Yes, no, it's not canceled.
No.
That's why we
stay
have
march.
a people's mandate, which we actually read the demands. And as you probably know, we've been in the streets demanding Black Lives Matter and fighting for community control police. Those issues won't have changed by November 4th. We don't think that change will come without a mass social movement in this country that's in the streets, just like the 60s, just like the civil rights movement. So regardless of what takes place on Tuesday, we'll still be marching. We'll still have our march. We don't know what size it'll be, because we think people will be even more outraged if Trump pulls some antics and decides to declare himself a winner or refuses to leave, or the election gets hijacked by some manipulation through the Electoral College or the Supreme Court. So we don't think that everything will be settled by November 4th. The important thing is that unions, workers' organizations, community groups, peace groups, anti-war groups, that we all come together and get united for what people need in this country.